Did you know October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month?
So, what kind of challenges do people with disabilities still face in the job market? And how can employers be more inclusive?
This is Enable, the Disability Podcast, where we'll share stories, experiences, support, resources, and more for people with disabilities and different abilities. We are at Enable Podcast on social media. My name is Deaf Jeff Herbert.
Yes, and my name is Kurt Hauer. We're talking with Darelyn Pazdel, VP of Workforce Inclusion at Pride Industries. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is a pleasure.
Awesome. Darelyn, please tell us about yourself and your experiences with disabilities.
Well, you've mentioned I'm the Vice President of our Workforce Inclusion for Pride Industries. I've spent the majority of my career working in this field with one mission, the employment of people with disabilities. I've been with Pride for 29 years, and I think we're unique. We've had that exact same mission for 60 years. We began super small in the basement of a church in a little town called Auburn, California. And it was a group of parents whose kids aged out of high school. They had disabilities, and it was the question, what next? So they decided to bring work into the church for them, and they wrapped Christmas presents, they made ashtrays, they made wind chimes, and they saw the dignity that their students faced or shared of having a paycheck, of just being able to earn money like everyone else. Fast forward to today, we're nationwide. We are in 15 states. We employ 4,000 people. And I'm proud to say 49% of our own workforce are people with disabilities.
Wow. So I noticed at Pride Industries, you've worked with injured workers who are seeking employment in a new career field. And what are some of the first steps you recommend for those folks?
Yeah, Kurt, we work with anybody with a disability. Certainly, we help people who have been injured and have to repurpose their skills. And really, the first step is to remember to be valued for the skills that you do have, not to face the world and your employment through what your injury was or what your disability is, but really focus on your skills and walk in asking to be valued. Jeff mentioned that it's National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So this is the month where we celebrate people who want to work with disabilities, and embrace and seek out your desired job career. You know, don't get stuck in the I can't, but focus on the I can. And I would say first steps, contact an organization like Pride Industries. Get started with that connection to an employer. We find the single largest barrier for people with disabilities is just getting in front of an employer to be able to share your skills. So let organizations like ours help.
And when you connect with employers, what kind of questions or things should they know about hiring people with disabilities and different abilities?
So the first one is to eliminate all fears. I have so many employers who come to me and say, well, I don't want to pay for those high accommodation costs. That's a myth. Many people require zero accommodations. We see accommodations sometimes $300, $400. It might be a raising desk or table, lighting, access to a break room somewhere. It's very minimal. And I also think it's important to remind employers to set aside their biases, see the person for what they can do, and not through the frame of their disability. It's so easy to see someone with a disability and automatically assume they can't do anything, when in fact, if you can remove that barrier, we have an untapped workforce ready to go.
Yeah, so a follow-up question is, on your website, I read how many positive characteristics people with disabilities bring to the workforce. And there was a list here: high retention, low absenteeism, improved employee satisfaction, and the list goes on. But there's one thing in particular that I wanted to know more about. If I'm an employer, I can get some tax incentives. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Definitely. You know, this is an effort that's nationwide, and I I hesitate to lead with that because I want people to do it because they want inclusive workforce. But if you can have a tax incentive for giving somebody the opportunity to shine, they're definitely there. I won't go into how much or how they work, but they're easy. I know I've helped employers file for them, and they're a benefit for giving someone an opportunity.
So would you say that they might offset any additional accommodation expense?
Oh, more than. I think your tax benefit is far more than what you would spend in an accommodation.
Right. What about people with disabilities? How can they find out about resources and benefits that are available to them?
I know that each state is different. Each state has a vocational rehabilitation system designed into their services for people with disabilities. It's an easy phone call or Google search to ask. Pride Industries is fortunate enough to be one of the only toll-free helplines specifically designed for people with disabilities who are interested in working. It's kind of catchy. It's paid for by our Michael Ziegler Foundation, and it's the I Am Able hotline. Easy to remember number 844 I Am Able. And that's a good starting point. Our individuals who answer the phones, we have Spanish bilingual, we have software to help individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing, and they can help you be connected to places in your state and or in California to Pride Industries to help.
That's fantastic. This is Enable, the Disability Podcast. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We love to share different stories because even when it feels like it, you're not alone. We're not defined solely by the things we can't do when there's so many things we can do.
So, what are some recommendations you have for people who are seeking jobs?
So if you're a job seeker and you're joining a job fair, I would say come prepared to go to work. Um, Dress appropriately. Don't wear t-shirts that are, maybe offensive. So dress appropriately, have your resume ready, and just be ready to engage. I mentioned earlier that the largest barrier is that connection with an employer. This is your time. It's your time. They've come, they know that they're meeting people with disabilities. Um, be ready to talk about your skills, and don't be afraid to ask questions. So often people with disabilities are overwhelmed thinking if I ask a question, they'll think I don't know something. Well, I ask a lot of questions. I don't know most things when I go to job interviews with people. So ask questions. Don't be afraid.
That's great. So one of the first steps in that job interview process, well, first there's the resume and then there's the job interview process. Do you have any general tips for resumes and job interviews?
I do. Your resume should explain what you can offer to an employer. It shouldn't explain anything about the fears that you're feeling that they might see. It should absolutely narrow in on what you can do. Even if you don't have years of paid experience for your skills, describe what you know and give examples. I think my greatest example is my son, when he was a teenager, had a friend who built and programmed computers. That was his hobby. He's a person with a disability, was never paid for it. But those are important skills for an employer. You can't put the job on the resume, but you can certainly spend time explaining what your skills are. And for interviewing job seekers as the employer, let's just really focus on what they can do, and don't be afraid to ask them clarifying questions as well. So often we have the skill, we just don't know how to put it on paper if we can't put a date, an employer, and a history to it.
Very good. Thank you. Well, I'm a person with a disability, so I'm going out, I'm looking for a job. What kind of challenges am I going to face?
Job seekers are fearful that they'll see their disability before they see their skills. So I personally would say ask for some help making that connection. And then the other barrier is selling your skills. But then the final barrier for employers needs to be removed when you look at all of the open job requisitions in this country. Millions of jobs that are unfilled. We have millions of job seekers looking for work who happen to have disabilities. So let's help them make that connection.
How does this all apply to veterans? Some of the services that you might offer veterans who are looking for jobs.
So we do focus on veterans. Not only do we provide these services, but I mentioned earlier, we have nearly 4,000 employees nationwide. Most of that is through the Ability One program, where we provide contract services on different Department of Defense properties, bases, organizations, courthouses throughout the country. And we focus on hiring veterans because of that mission, because of the Ability One program, but it doesn't work any differently. The only difference is that we reach out to the veteran organizations or to the individuals who are separating with a disability, and we make that contact.
I'm also a person with a disability. I was born with a profound hearing loss. And every once in a while, some jobs I've had in the past, I'll find out from an employer that, they had a misconception about who I am and what I could do that they realized was wrong after they hired me. Do you have any examples of misconceptions that employers sometimes have about hiring people
Oh,
with disabilities?
I absolutely do. We employ a lady in Little Rock, Arkansas. Her name is Beth Pope. She is a custodian for us in a very high profile courthouse. And we have developed standard operating procedures based upon how Beth works. Beth was born without hearing and she lost her sight in her early 20s. So this lady is one of our best custodians. She gets her supplies by herself. She navigates the building by herself. She just happens to not be able to see and or hear the people around her.
Fantastic.
Well, Darelyn, thank you for joining us today. And just curious if you had any closing thoughts for us.
I do, and I'll repeat myself. Don't hesitate and don't be afraid. The employer is just as nervous as the job seeker. And if we just come together and ask our simple questions, don't be afraid to ask a person with a disability how you should approach them. How would you like to communicate? Would you like to use paper, whiteboards, texting, an interpreter? I know most job fairs have ASL interpreters, maybe Spanish interpreters. Don't be afraid just to let down the ego and ask the questions, and then reach out to people like Pride Industries for help. And I'll repeat our I Am Able helpline for you. It's 844 I Am Able. If you're not good with letters, you'd rather have numbers, it's 844-426-2253.
Thank you again for joining us. This is Enable, the Disability Podcast. We are at Enable Podcast on social media. Please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
And please share this podcast with your family and friends so we can share more stories about people with disabilities and different abilities so we can bring us all together. Thank you.